we assess ourselves, we account to the public on our stewardship. We are more or less the result of the government. And of course, this exercise also establishes public trust in the government itself, because the public knows exactly what we are doing in a spirit of open environment, and therefore it builds the trust that we expect. So it's a twin process. One, we have the bottom-up approach, which is the people's voice, and that project is called the Citizen Feedback Mechanism, where citizens will dial a short code 2424 to tell us exactly what is obtaining around the country in terms of service, in terms of development. That enables us, the president, and those in government, to respond, to be more responsive to service delivery. Then there is the next system, which is the performance management compliance system. Okay? That is where, we assess ourselves as appointees in government, as institutions, in a way that we establish the different protocols that we must use to provide the service that we need as a country to the people. Yes. So let me give you a brief overview of the 2024 PMC cycle. We started in October and ended March this year. Our first cycle focused on just two fundamental targets. So every ministry agency was asked to set two targets. One is the development and publication of the service delivery charter. The service delivery charter is exactly what you're mandated to do and what your agency is required to do in terms of the service that you need to deliver to the Nigerian people. So if you're the Ministry of Health, it's clearly established. The Ministry of Transport, those services that you provide to the people are what will be clearly, explained or charted in the service delivery charter. Then the next target is how you strengthen your internal systems to implement these charter. So you need to build internal systems that will enable you to implement the service delivery charter, that will enable you actually carry out the services lined up in your mind. And so, just go back. And so, at the end of the day, you sign a contract with just these two targets. And remember, it's just the beginning. So we didn't want to burden people with so many targets, just the initial targets to test the water. And so people signed those contracts with the president. So what have we achieved so far since we began this in October last year? Of course, there was a presidential directive issued requiring all institutions to adopt the PMCS by October. By November, 94 institutions were trained on certain smart targets, with 284 persons equipped within the different institutions to lead the implementation of the 2024 PMCS cycle. By December, 90 institutions signed the performance contract with Excellency President. And by February 2025, we had 3 monitoring teams who did field verification of how you were implementing your service delivery charter and the strengthening of the internal system. Within February, a high-level delegation went on a study tour to Sierra Leone to learn from how they have institutionalized performance within their country. And that delegation was comprised of the Ministry of Finance, the CSC, the Governance Commission, the UNDP, and the Cabinet Secretariat. Next slide. So, what is the scope and participation of the first cycle? We have 90 institutions participating, fully setting their targets and undergoing annual appraisal. We have 80 plus institutions actually doing their service delivery charters. They develop and publish service delivery charters. And we have 3 verification teams doing independent assessment across all participating institutions. Then we have a multi-PMC technical working group comprising the Cabinet Office, the Ministry of Finance, the GC, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the IAA, and the CSC. Next slide. So, how did it look across the years? Next slide. So, for the service delivery charter development, we have 61% of those involved, 67.8% of those involved actually developing the charter. 25 doing one version, because the charter, you have to do the charter itself, and then you want a bridge version. But there were others who just did one version. And just 6% did either version. There's a reason for that. It's a new system. So we understand how it took some time for people to actually acclimatize, for lack of a better word, to the system. Next slide. Now, in terms of publication, if you go around Liberia, you see a lot of billboards, from different agencies and institutions actually directed to showcase their service literature. It was a requirement because it would need to go. What YouTube service you provide to the public. And those who did full publication amounted to 32%, partial publication 52%, and no publication now. Again, we know we're responsible for this because it is a new project. Next. So when it comes to the internal strengthening the internal systems, this is what we have. In fact, more than half of the entities were able to develop 3 systems or more. Next slide. Now, see the detailed analysis of the systems that is strengthened across institutions. You can tell from this that human resources actually have the biggest number in terms of how institutions strengthen their systems to implement their mandates. Financial management, we have about 57%, which is good because in that sector, most of them undertook QuickBooks implementation and developed financial manuals and internal controls. So this is good news, actually. I think we've done a great job since this was just the beginning. Next slide. So what are the key outcomes of what we have done so far? We noticed that it was improved financial reporting time frames from 60 plus days to just 30 days in 23 institutions. Reduced financial process errors by an average of 45% in institutions implementing QuickBooks. So those who implemented QuickBooks actually reduced financial process errors. So it's an achievement, it's progress. Then in terms of enhancing transparency and compliance with the Public Financial Management Act requirement, there were others who also required them. Next slide. Next slide. So what are the next steps after this first cycle? So the new target setting process started a few months ago. And by this time, we thought that institutions should set targets that are clearly aligned with the AAIT. Because in the next 5 years, we implementing the arrest agenda for inclusive development, the government's flagship development program. So we require all institutions to develop targets that are aligned with the AAIT. So the first target will be developing your strategic plan. And we know that a lot of people develop strategic plans. But those who already did, we ask them to review their plans and align them with the AAIT. Because with those strategic plans are between 3 and 5 years. And if you do your plan for 5 years, then obviously it's within the time frame of the AAIT. So if you did it without aligning it to the AAIT, we'll work with you to do that. So all institutions were required to develop their strategic plans and align them to the AAIT. So that is what we've done this cycle, this year. And then the next target was to implement your service delivery chapter, which is your core function and mandate. So you develop internal systems, but now you want to make sure that developing your internal systems will be aligned with actually implementing the service delivery charter to the fullest. Then we also agreed to set another target where you'll be asked to mobilize resources, especially those institutions that raise funding. Okay. But even if you don't raise funding, normally as part of your mandate, you are required to be innovative in a way you can raise resources to help you undertake your mandate. In that way, we don't depend too much on government. I understand that the funding landscape is a little bit shaky for now, but we ask entities who have the capacity to ensure they can raise resources. So the next target that we ask entities to set is the system of efficiency. And this is key, especially for those who are dealing with the economic sector. We want you to efficiently set up the systems in a way that you can identify the leakages, fraud, or wastages, implement solutions to resolve. And I think as I speak, I'm looking at my man from the LRE, who's doing a fantastic job that way. Then finally, you are required to build your institutional capacity. So you should identify areas where you can build your capacity to improve institutional performance. So these are the targets that we set for each entity list for which you will sign a contract with the president. Next slide. Okay, these are the timelines that we set over the last few months in terms of coming to this point. Next slide. So looking ahead, we now can see that PMCS is now a proven tool of performance, accountability, and transparency. The 2024 cycle showed clear gains, and now is the time for us to build on progress. 2025 targets require deeper commitment and stronger institutional leadership. This is where I ask heads of institutions to be particularly involved in this process. Because you want a structured way, to be able to deliver service to the Liberian people. We don't want it to be a scattered approach. We want it to be a system-based approach, an evidence-based approach. And we also think that all institutions must prioritize the implementation and measurable outcomes. So we need to lead with purpose, deliver with integrity, and serve with impact. This is our country. This is a new day. The president and I always said that we inherited a system, whether we like it or not, that was full of flaws. And it behooves us as a new government to turn things around. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, DG. As most of you, or all of you should know by now, the performance management contract system is housed in the offices of the Director General, and he has a full team of people that support him. So please take advantage of what he and his staff have to offer. So if you turn to the next page of your program. Oh, you not get on? Sorry, I got plenty here. We need to divide it. You're always small.
This is a Focus on Liberia live broadcast. This is the presidential signing of the 2025 performance contracts and recognition ceremony held at the Ministerial complex.
His Excellency the President will be coming up to give us the presidential address on the 2024 PMCS. However, before he comes up, we just want to recognize the services and contributions of our international partners and everything they did to help us get to this point. We recognize the United Nations organization in Liberia, the resident representative of the UNDP, the African Development Bank, the World Bank, country office, ECOWAS, the EU, of course, the Swedish embassy, the German embassy, and the Irish embassy, among other international partners. We thank you immensely for your many, many contributions that have guided this process and prepared us to deliver on His Excellency's promises to the Liberian people. I think by now most of you, if not all of you, have copies. That's enough. Sorry, we're just holding on to them. And after His Excellency's remarks, we will set aside a time to recognize our top performing public institutions. The President will be recognizing you by presenting you award plaques, and we hope and believe that you will cherish those immensely. Ambassador Kennedy, that's the way you do.
Members of the President's Cabinet, members of the Marico Development Partners, heads of public corporations, autonomous agencies, commissions, the Honorable Lord Mayor Monrovia, members of the City Council, greetings, members of the clergy, as the commanders of the military and paramilitary forces, former officials of government, greetings, members of the clergy, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasing duty at this time to present to you His Excellency Joseph Imamboga, Sr., President of the Republic of Liberia.
Thank you. Cabinet ministers, heads of institutions, members of the diplomatic corps, my development partners, members of the civil society, the media, fellow citizens. This moment signifies the vote to accept our national commitment to accountability, transparency, and citizen-centered governance. Through the performance management and compliance system, we are transitioning from promises to performance, from inputs to impact, from excuses to excellence. Aligned with our REST agenda, the PMCS guarantees that institutions provide clear services, maintain integrity, and stay accountable to the people. We're here today not only to celebrate the result of this intervention, but also to institutionalize a new culture of delivery across government. This is a legacy that we owe to the Liberian people, a government that works and that works for them. Today's event comes with both reflection and recommitment. For the first time in our nation's history, we have completed a full national performance management circle across our public sector. The outcome of this process gave us a cause for both celebration and reflection. We applaud those institutions that perform exceptionally, and we recognize the dedication, discipline, and leadership it took to meet, and in some cases exceed,
expectations outlined in last year's performance target. These targets were development and publication of service delivery chart by each institution and strengthening of internal systems to implement these charters. These institutions demonstrated clear planning, strengthening systems, and visible service improvements. They have set a benchmark for performance that others must now meet or exceed. Fellow Liberians, our journey toward performance-based governance must be bold, but also fair. The data we now have tells a compelling story, one of progress, but also areas where we must do better. This was the first full National PM Circle. It's a historic undertaking for our government. Many institutions rose to the challenge. However, it is important to note that a number of institutions were not able to fully participate or meet the core requirements. This is not acceptable. But to some extent, we want to say that some of them were taken off guard, and we hope they will do better. At the same time, we recognize that the first year has been a learning process for many. The system is new, expectations are evolving, and not all institutions were equally prepared. I want to make it clear, however, that moving forward, the standard will even be higher. Institutions that do not engage meaningfully in future cycles will have to keep giving account, consistent with the mechanism built in the PMS. For this circle, institutions that did not comply will be placed on the Presidential Performance Improvement Plan, TPIP. This will provide targeted support, structured performance monitoring, and clear timelines for corrective actions. We're also going to introduce temporary travel moratorium for institutions with persistent non-compliance. It is important that public servants deliver on the basic national obligations before representing Liberia abroad. And as a matter of fact, during our campaign, we did say that it would have been a requirement that ministers in strategic positions must have the opportunity to visit any part of the country before they travel, because you have to know who you're going to represent. Unfortunately, of course, the road conditions were not proper, but this moratorium will only be lifted under documented evidence of improvement. Performance must now carry both recognition and responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, we are entering a new era, one in which performance is no longer an aspiration, but an obligation. As part of this shift, later today, we witnessed the ceremonial signing of 2025 performance contract. Let me say here, these contracts are not ceremonial documents. They are instruments of public trust. They represent each institution's commitment, not to me, but to the people of Liberia. But we must also ensure these commitments are resourced and realistic. I'm therefore directing the Minister of Finance and Development Planning to fully integrate PMC deliverables into the national budgeting framework. No performance plan should sit on a shelf because of funding grabs. Budget allocations must budget allocations must speak to what they will do. Additionally, we are accelerating the digital transformation of the PMCS. At the end of this year, we will finalize and begin rolling out the Performance Management Information System, PMSIS, a centralized real-time platform and tracks institutional targets, compliance rates, and service outcomes. This will be the engine behind one government, one dashboard, where performance can be monitored, analyzed, discussed with integrity. Our direction is clear, our tools are in place, our expectations are non-negotiable. This is not about reporting for reporting's sake. It is about making sure that a public service means something and that it delivers something. I know a lot of people come to public service because they think it's very easy. All you do, go back your time and go home. We have to change that. Against this background, I must announce that I will soon begin to unscheduled visits to institutions. Many will be Many of these visits will be unannounced for a deeper understanding of the challenges and opportunities, as well as to demonstrate our commitment to institutional effectiveness and accountability. Let me pause to thank the General Services for giving this building an uplift. I felt a little bit embarrassed that we've been entrusted with a valuable real estate, and we should respect it by keeping it decent. Thank you very much. I don't know how it's done, whether all ministries in here are contributing. My concern is not about that, it's about making sure it's okay. I remember when I used to come around here, the whole place was later. That's not the best way to go. The culture of performance we speak will not be built through directives alone. It must be modeled through the decisions you make, the standards you enforce, the example you set. I told the minister yesterday, some of you inherited a lot of people who may not have the commitment, but you have a responsibility to track them out. You can't replace them. You can't replace them. And I urge you to ensure that your institution become a hub of delivery. Use your service delivery chart not as a public relation tool, but as a living contract with the people. To the citizens of Liberia, this is your government, and you have a right to expect results. We are building a system where you can see what each institution has committed to and hold them accountable when those promises are not met. You can go on Facebook and criticize, but your eyes can see. So, to our development partners, especially the UNDP, I want to thank you for your steadfast support throughout the journey. Your technical, financial, and moral investment has been critical to the progress we report today. I encourage you to continue aligning your support with the national performance agenda. I have made it clear that this is a responsible government. We respect the opinions of our people, but trust us, we'll manage this country to the best of the Liberian people expectation. Let us deepen our collaboration, not just around funding, but around measurable, sustainable results. And finally, to all Liberians, let us move forward with clarity, with courage, and with commitment toward a Liberia where every institution is accountable, every leader is responsible, and every citizen is served with dignity. Let us think, love, build Liberia. May God bless us all.
As the President of the Republic of Liberia, Joseph Yomambata.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for your wonderful remarks. We, as MACs, ministries, agencies, and commissions out there, value your leadership and your direction. And we especially like the part where, with the consent of the Finance Minister, he said no PMCS will sit on this job because of the funding gap. And I could see our fund nodding in agreement. But we eat this together. And the President made the announcement that he will be coming when you're not even expecting. So let's be ready. But congratulations to all ministries, agencies, and commissions for the wonderful work they've done. And yes, they deserve a round of applause. And we've come to that point now where even though the DG announced earlier that the first, cycle, the first whole cycle was not a competition to necessarily do better than somebody else, but basically to make sure everything you promised to do, you did it. And there are a few of us, including, especially the Ministerial State for Presidential Affairs, we did well. But there are about 15 of our colleagues who deserve recognition, and we want to, in this public manner, call them up to be recognized and awarded by His Excellency as a pat on the back and an encouragement to continue to do what you do. And so we'll call on our team to bring up the plaques. And this is in no particular order necessarily, but there are 3 of our colleagues also that excel above all others. But even at that, we want to recognize some of the Director General of this press. But anyway, he wanted me to clarify that this is just based on their performance on 2 of the titles, okay, and not necessarily on all of them. So we'd like to call out at this time the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. the Ministry of National Defense,
government entities being awarded and recognized at this program.
the Ministry of Public Works, the Liberia Agriculture Commodity Regulatory Authority, LACRA, the Johnson-Sirleaf Memorial Regional Referral Hospital, Johnson-Sirleaf Memorial Referral Hospital, the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs, Acting Minister Accountability, the Liberia Petroleum Refining Company, the National Water Sanitation and Hygiene Commission, the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission, the other one party they made a list for strategic reason, Public Procurement and Concession Commission, the Ministry of Post and Telecommunications, the Liberia Airport Authority, those are our colleagues that represent the highest performing mathematical people. Liberia Institute of Statistics and Geoinformation Services, and among all of our MACs, those who have been recognized, we have top three performance. Starting with the third. In third place, we have the Ministry of National Defense. Exceptional performance. This is very closely followed by the Johnson-Sirleaf Memorial Regional Referral Hospital. hospital. And a very, very high performer. And in top place for this cycle, we have the Liberia Agriculture Commodity Regulatory Authority, NACRA. We're going to ask all of our awardees to please come up and just take a quick photo with His Excellency and our international partners. All of those on the high table. All of those who were recognized, please come up quickly for your photo up. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you. Congratulations, everyone. Before we go on to the introduction of the 2025 key performance targets by the Director General, earlier we mentioned our international partners who have so rigorously supported us, enthusiastically stood behind us, and encouraged us along, at the same time providing support. So at this time, I'd like to call on some of our partners to please come up and make appropriate remarks. We'd like to start with the UN Resident Coordinator.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Joseph Nwabwaka, Honorable Ministers, senior government officials, the development partners,